The shifting global order and the place of the United States in it are the contentious issues that are continuously stirring the headlines. The United States has long been seen as a powerhouse with considerable clout in world politics, business and military affairs. However, there's been a change in the balance of power in recent years, with growing economies like China and India taking center stage in the global arena. The COVID-19 epidemic has caused even greater unrest around the world, with nations battling to preserve stability in the face of financial and health challenges. So, everyone's wondering, has the United States lost its throne? In this video, we'll examine the shifting world order, the causes behind it, and what it portends for future international affairs. So let's get started and see if the USA is still the dominant superpower or if the global landscape has changed irrevocably. Before we begin, make sure that you've subscribed to our channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon to keep yourself updated with our regular uploads. Globalization is one of the main forces behind the shifting world order. With the emergence of emerging economies like China, India and Brazil, globalization has put the US's economic hegemony under pressure. With a GDP that is anticipated to surpass that of the United States in the next few years, China is particular to have developed to become the second largest economy in the world. The US's worldwide influence has been reassessed as a result of this change in economic power, and some experts wonder whether the US can maintain its dominance in a world where China is gaining strength. Technology advancement is another aspect influencing the shifting global order. The growth of new industries and the disruption of established ones brought about by the rise of digital technology have led to new winners and losers in the global economy. China and other nations who have adapted quickly to these developments have a competitive advantage over others. While some analysts contend the US's old sectors are in decline and that it has to increase its investment in emerging technologies in order to maintain its global impact, the US has been reluctant to adapt. The US and the rest of the world will be significantly impacted by the shifting global order. The US's economic situation is one of the most important effects. The US's economic hegemony is under threat as emerging economies like China continue to expand. A realignment of the global power dynamics and a reduction in US dominance could result from this shift in economic power. Global governance is also being impacted by the shifting world order. Emerging economies are challenging established global governance institutions like the World Trade Organization and the United Nations as they become more powerful. The global governance structure may become more disjointed as a result, and a more multipolar world order may emerge. The evolving global order has also been significantly impacted by the COVID-19 epidemic. The epidemic has brought attention to the interdependence of nations and the necessity of international cooperation in order to address global concerns. However, it's also shown the flaws of the US's domestic and foreign policy, which has caused some to doubt its capacity to serve as a global leader after the pandemic. Does America still have superpower status? The US is still a superpower, notwithstanding the difficulties brought on by the shifting global order. The US continues to have the largest economy, the most potent military, and a major cultural influence in the rest of the world. However, the US must reform in order to maintain its status as a superpower, as its worldwide dominance is under threat. The US has reacted to the shifting global order in a variety of ways. On the one hand, the US has taken the initiative to encourage international cooperation and address issues like climate change and the COVID-19 pandemic. Examples of this include the US's decision to rejoin the Paris Agreement and its participation in the COVAX effort to provide vaccines to underdeveloped nations. On the other hand, in other areas like commerce and security, the US has also adopted a more unilateral approach to world administration. Many criticize the Trump administration's America First strategy, which put US interests before the international collaboration, for eroding the US's position of leadership in the world and deteriorating relations with allies. With a reinvigorated dedication to multilateralism and international collaboration, the Biden administration has hinted at a change towards a more cooperative approach to global governance. The US still has a lot of work to do to stay a superpower in a shifting international landscape, though. The development of China as a major world power is one of the main threats the US is currently facing. China's influence has increased dramatically in recent years, along with its vast economic and military progress. Particularly significant has been China's Belt and Road Initiative, which aspires to advance infrastructural growth and economic integration throughout Asia, Europe, and Africa. China and the US have a complicated and multidimensional relationship. While the two nations work together on matters like trade and climate change, they also face up against each other on others like technology and security. Regarding China's human rights record, its claims to territory in the South China Sea and its alleged theft of US intellectual property, the US has expressed alarm. The US has reacted to China's ascent in a variety of ways. In order to be more combative, the Trump administration imposed taxes on Chinese imports and limited Chinese access to US technology. The Biden administration has adopted a more sophisticated strategy, attempting to rival China while simultaneously working and collaborating on problems like climate change and international health. The emergence of non-state players such as multinational corporations, NGOs, and terrorist organizations presents other difficulties for the US. The traditional power structures of nations and international institutions are being challenged by non-state players whose influence in international affairs has grown, particularly with regard to their ability to influence global policy and decision-making. Multinational firms wield considerable economic clout. NGOs now play a significant role in fields like global health, the environment, and human rights. Meanwhile, terrorist organizations have proven they are capable of undermining national authority and interfering with global security. The US has reacted to non-state actors in a variety of ways. The US has collaborated with multinational companies and non-governmental organizations on topics like global health and climate change, but it has also targeted them with rules and limitations in areas like commerce and national security. The US has taken a more aggressive approach to countering terrorist organizations, leading the international campaign against organizations like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. The US's status as a superpower definitely faces serious difficulties as a result of the shifting global order. Global power dynamics are changing as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the development of new countries, and technological innovation. The US, however, continues to be a world power with a substantial military, economic, and political impact. The US must reform to keep its status as a powerhouse by making investments in new technology, collaborating more closely with other nations, and tackling its own problems. The US must also adapt to a more cooperative strategy for world government, encouraging multilateralism and collaborating with other nations to address global issues. The US's influence on the world stage in the ensuing years will greatly depend on its relations with China and how it handles non-state players. In the end, the US's capacity to change with the times will determine whether it can continue to be a superpower in the 21st century. US's status as a superpower is under threat from the shifting global order, which will also change the balance of power in the world. Has been influenced by the development of rising economies, technological advancement, and the COVID-19 pandemic. The US, however, continues to be a world power with a substantial military, economic, and political impact. The US must reform to keep its status as a powerhouse by making investments in new technology, collaborating more closely with other nations, and tackling its own problems. The US can only maintain its leadership in a shifting international system by doing this. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you in the next video.